Theros Adventures. As you can see, I'm standing in front of the harbour in Ganges on Salt Spring Island. It's a beautiful autumnal day, a tad rainy. What better day to be reminiscing about a wonderful walk in Spanish sunshine? Which brings me on to telling you about the first episode of our new video blog series, all about our epic walk along El Camino del Norte, all the way from Biarritz in France to Santiago de Compostela in northwest Spain. In this series, we're going to show you what it's like to walk the Camino. You'll come along with us, and we'll also reveal some of our top travel tips. So strap on your virtual backpack and slip on your running shoes or your walking shoes and come along with us.
Well, folks, God, when did I start walking the Camino? Well, I actually got on the Camino trail the first time probably in the early 70s. And I saw this yellow arrow on the sidewalk in France. And I looked at it and thought, God, what's that? And so I found someone who spoke enough English to tell me that it was the Camino de Santiago. So I had to figure out what that was. And I did a little bit of reading at the time, but didn't find out a whole bunch. And then, around 2010, The Way came out with Emilio Estevez. And I watched the movie and I thought, I know this place. I've got to do this. So 2013, I got the time and I decided to go off and walk the Camino Frances. Started in Saint Jean Pied de Port, and you know, I looked at all the stuff and talked to people, and I thought, what's the best way to do this? And I just thought, I'll just show up, which I did. I literally showed up in Saint Jean, no booking, nothing. Walked into the pilgrim office there, got a pilgrim's passport, and started my Camino. Got my first stamp there, and I was just, wow, this is interesting. And stayed a night in one of the albergues there, and next morning, 6 a.m., I got up with all the other pilgrims and started walking. By the time I got to Roncesvalles, probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd made friends from all over the world. I was, so sore. And I got a bed and walked around a little bit and found a place to eat. And we set a time, because you eat at 8 o'clock in the evening, which is really strange for a lot of people too. And we went and got some food, went to bed, and I was worried kind of, okay, Roncesvalles, the hostel there, the albergue is 4 beds to a cubicle, but it's in a large room. And I'm thinking, oh my God, will I get through the snoring? Never heard a thing. I was so tired from the day. I passed out. I slept the best night I've had in years. And that was the start of my Camino dreams.
Yeah.
There were times when walking it, by the time I got to Pamplona, I was wondering, are you crazy? And actually I was going to spend a night in Pamplona, an extra night, and decide whether I was going to continue. And I walked downtown to the square about 8 o'clock in the evening, and there were families everywhere. And I mean families, the parents, the children, the grandparents, all standing around, dressed up a little bit. No one was in baggy stuff except us pilgrims. And you could tell the pilgrims easily because we were wearing the similar style of clothes all around. But it was such a joyous time. And that sold me on continuing on. Well, the rest is history. Several thousand kilometers later, I'm still walking Caminos. and I probably will for the rest of my life. How about you, Sarah?
Well, I think my first encounter with El Camino de Santiago was really through the book that you may have heard of called The Pilgrimage by the Brazilian writer Paulo Coelho. I read that several years ago and just felt that it touched a chord within me, and I felt really inspired that I wanted to make that journey. And I had talked with my mum about it because she had heard of the Camino de Santiago, and we were talking of walking a section of the route together. But sadly, my mum was diagnosed with secondary breast cancer, which unfortunately had metastasized. And basically in 2015, I left my job to care for her at home until she passed away. And unfortunately, we never got round to walking the Camino together. But I really felt that the Camino had called me to make the journey. And after having met Brett at the bus stop earlier that year, and Brett told me about his experiences on the Camino, that just confirmed to me that I had heard the call of the Camino and I should go and walk it. So in September 2015, I decided to walk the Camino Francis route of the Camino de Santiago to honour the life of my mum. And I fully expected to walk with my grief every day, because I really thought, it'll give me an opportunity to process my grief and what we had been through the previous few months. But I was really quite overwhelmed and surprised that although I did have time to walk with my grief and deal with things, it was also a journey of immense joy, immense wonder, just walking through nature and the amazing countryside, meeting all of the pilgrims that I met and became friends with, and I'm still friends with them today, meeting the local Spanish people, and drinking it all in, and feeling much closer to spirit as well. I really felt that someone somewhere was watching over me and walking with me even. I felt it amazingly comforting experience and a totally transformative journey. So that was my first one in 2015, and then Brett and I, after we got married, we walked the Camino Portuguese together in 2016, and by the end of it, we were still married.
Yes,
that's a good sign, and we're still walking Caminos today. So that's why we wanted to share with you this journey that we made together last year, to just give you a taste of what the Camino de Santiago is all about, and maybe this will help confirm to you that perhaps you have heard the call to walk the Camino too. So
watch some of our videos, take a deep breath and picture yourself there. Know that the Camino is something that you can do on your own. You learn to carry very little. It's not a fashion show. It's something where you take what you need and that is it. We actually wear the clothes on our back and carry one other set. You need a good rain poncho because it does rain. A spare pair of sandals or even flip-flops for the evening and light days. Pretty light duty stuff. You can keep your pack. We wear 33 to 35 kilo packs, and they're always about 8 kilos. They're just, you want to be light and enjoy. We never book ahead unless we absolutely have to. It's so nice to walk into a town, look around and say, I want to stay here. You find the albergue, and there are albergues in a lot of places. You find the albergue, maybe there's a pilgrim meal, maybe you get to cook a meal for yourself, and we have together cooked meals for 20, 25 people, just because we were there early enough and the grocery store was close enough, and everybody decided to give us a hand. And the next thing you know, you've got 20, 25 lifelong friends. And it's just amazing.
Yeah, I think that sums it up quite well, really. The Camino is community.
Mm-hmm.
It shows us how community should be, really. And that's something we can take away back into our home places.
We're on the plane to London, Gatwick.
Gatport Airsick. Here we come. So our first travel tip is save money on flights. And Melinda and I recommend that you use websites such as Skyscanner or Kayak. They both work in very similar ways in that you can put the place where you're leaving from into the search, your destination and a range of dates, and then these websites will pull out the very best deals on flights for you to choose from. The important thing to remember though is how you set the filters. So you can search by cheapest price or most direct route or a combination of both. And then you can see the different options that will then take you to the different websites for you to make a direct booking. Just bear in mind that the cheapest flights tend to have more than one stop unless you set the search for direct flights only, or they'll make you leave very late at night or early in the morning. So you might think you're saving money when you might end up having to add on costs of accommodation near the airport if you need to leave early in the morning. So just bear those two things in mind, but they do save you a lot of money indeed. So Skyscanner or Kayak for cheap flights. One other thing to remember about using Skyscanner and Kayak is that if you search for the cheapest flights and you get a number of connections on your flight option, do remember to check all of the small print about whether you will need to collect your luggage at any of the connection points and then recheck it in. And then work out, do you have enough time in between connections to do that if there are any flight delays, for example. Having said that, if you pack sensibly for the Camino, you won't have to worry about all of that because you'll be able to take your luggage on as carry-on, and therefore you don't have to wait to collect luggage or recheck it in or collect it at the other end. Travel tip number 2 is to save money on trains. Now, if you land in London at London Gatwick or Heathrow, you'll be bombarded by these big adverts for the express trains into London. And my advice is just ignore those. You don't need to go on the express trains because they're actually quite expensive. Get yourself an Oyster card, which is a little blue card. I'll show you what it looks like. You can upload credit to it, and then this allows you to travel on the overland trains, the underground trains, the Docklands Light Railway, and the tube and the buses across London. Or you can pay by contactless at card readers on your way in and out of the stations. You can save up to 50% on a rail ticket by using an Oyster card or contactless. So when you get into Gatwick, just get an Oyster card, or pay by contactless and get a regular train. So just look on the boards for like London Victoria and go for a regular train, not the Gatwick Express. Likewise for Heathrow, you could get on a regular train from Heathrow Airport into central London, so don't use the Heathrow Express, or you can jump on the Piccadilly line on the tube, and again it will save you loads of money.
Travel tip number 3, folks. When you're in London, consider walking. London is such a beautiful downtown area, and it is very easy to walk along. If you find the River Thames anywhere and head towards downtown London, there are walkways and beautiful places to see. The South Bank is a wonder in itself. It's just so much easier to get around London and really see things by simply taking the number 11 bus. That's your 2 legs. Well, folks, you can see the Thames is really low right now. This is at low tide, yes, but it's been up and down this river for years, and I've never seen it go down this low. And the tide's actually come up since we got here. It's really scary. But our walk's going okay. We've done about 7 kilometers right now, and we're feeling good. You know, the usual sort of, my hits, but we'll do fine. We're going to walk down to Run and Become. It's near Victoria Station. I want to pick up some new insoles for my runners, a little more aggressive insoles, and then we're going to go off via Victoria back to Gatwick and catch our plane to Biarritz. What do you have to say, Sarah?
Well, hi everyone. We've just walked from Tooting Broadway, where I used to live at Annie's for several years, and we've walked up to Battersea, walked along Battersea Reach, where I used to live for about 11 years. So we visited some old haunts, and along this stretch of river was where I had a picture taken for my first Camino just before going out to St Jean Pied de Port to walk the Camino Frances for the very first time in 2015. And here I am today, 2022, with a smaller backpack and a few aches and pains because I haven't walked very often in the last few months while we've been on the East Coast, but we're really excited. We're looking forward to the walk. We love travel, so that's great. day, Pilgrim?
Well, you know, bathroom.
Good running shops. I've used in London, England, Run and Become is a great shop to get shoes. They also have the proper insoles and you'll always get a good fit. Because what we want to talk about is what you should wear on your feet. We've done quite a few walks, and in the end, what we found out was waterproof shoes don't work very well. They get wet and stay wet, and there's nowhere to dry them on the Camino, or very few places. So we've looked at the different shoes, and what we've come up with is if you get a good pair of trail runners, breathable trail runners, you're in your best position. We've used several different types, but I like the Saucony Peregrines. And I also now have got a pair of Hokas that I think are really great. There's a couple of things that you should know. First, don't buy the size that you normally wear. Buy a size bigger. The reason for that is your feet are going to swell. We're not normally people that walk steady every day, 25 kilometers, 25 kilometers. So your feet aren't used to that and you will swell. So a size bigger is a really good idea. The other thing that I think you should do, and I've got my Hokas here for my next walk, is get a pair of liners like these. These are insoles. They're a higher end insole. It says Running Pro. They give you a better arch support. And that is something that is very important. Let's face it, the one thing that can ruin a walk more than anything else is getting blisters or feet that are swollen and too big for your shoes. The other thing that you want to look at is doing a heel lock on your shoe. So folks, we're talking about a heel lock right now. This is the heel lock method. So you see you've got your laces done up normally, and then you've got the second hole at the top here. What you do is you go back through the hole and make a loop like this. And then, of course, you do it on both sides. And now you have this heel lock system set up. So you put the shoe on, and with that on, come across, put this line through there, this lace
through there, and you have the loops holding you. Now just keep pulling them like that, and it tightens those loops. Then you can tie off, and that locks your heel in place so that your foot doesn't slide back and forth. Especially important since you're starting with a shoe that's a size bigger than normal. So you want to be able to lock your foot in place. When your foot swells, it's probably not as big an issue, but it will keep your foot where you want it to be in the shoe and save you on blisters and losing toenails if you jam your foot forward. So the heel lock, very important part of walking the Camino. I have recently bought these at the running room in Nanaimo, and again, a place that's carries the better quality running shoes. Spend the extra money. Don't have your trip ruined by a cheap pair of shoes without the proper insoles. It's very, very important. I've seen some people that say, oh, well, I've got to wear hiking boots. My feeling on hiking boots comes from, probably 10 years of walking Caminos now. Almost everybody I've seen that has had major problems with their feet were wearing hiking boots that are too heavy for this kind of walk, hiking boots that are great when they're well fitted for climbing mountains, but we're not climbing mountains most of the time. We're on trails. And so you end up having real problems with your feet. Do yourself a favor, get a good pair of trail runners. Make sure they have a good grip on the bottom and enjoy your walk. I don't want to see your hiking boots hanging on a tree someplace because they're too darn heavy to carry. And I mean, seriously, folks, it can be a real pain.
So how's the Camino so far?
Oh, I'm so tired.
But honey, you haven't even left the airport yet.
Don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world, but keep the sky on your mind. Get on board. We're smiling on top of the world.
Tuning in and watching. We hope you enjoy this series.
It's we'll get it out probably a new post every Friday, and you'll be able to follow us from Biarritz in France to Santiago in Spain. We took the coastal route as often as we could, climbed a few mountains. I mean, purgatory right at the beginning from a run.
You're giving it away already.
Oh, it was amazing, beautiful. Do take a chance. It's well worth it. And buen camino.
Buen Camino.